Located in the Energy Corridor, the Village School has world-class teachers providing exceptional learning experiences with a STEAM American curriculum in an international community with 90 countries represented in the student body. And they were once again named a top 15 K-12 private school in America, according to Niche.com's rankings, and they came in number 3 overall in Texas. Check out thevillageschool.com to register for their November 13th STEAM Day open house or to learn more about their private day and boarding school options for students from ages 2 through 12th grade.
Growing Up Jewish, art and storytelling is on view now through December 7th at Holocaust Museum Houston. This exhibition explores the key people, experiences, and community that shaped artist Jacqueline Colt Wall. Admission to the Holocaust Museum Houston is free for everyone on Thursdays from 2 to 5 p.m. Always free for children and students through the age of 18 and college students with a valid ID. Learn more at hmh.org/growingupjewish.
Before we begin today's episode, I want to make sure you heard the news. CityCast Houston and our Hey Houston newsletter are shutting down. Our last podcast and newsletter will come at the end of this week on Friday, October 24th. We're sad to go, but we're also so grateful for the support from you. If you have something to share with our team about how CityCast Houston has been part of your life or changed your opinion on something happening in the city, send it to us. It can be a favorite episode, a favorite moment. It doesn't matter what it is. We want to hear from you. Email it to us at houston@citycast.fm. And speaking of favorite moments, Hey Houston newsletter editor Brooke Lewis is picking today's episode. Take it away, Brooke.
Today on CityCast Houston, one of my favorite episodes is when I took on host Raheel Ramzanali and producer Carlignon Jones to make a case for why our neighborhood was the best place to live in Houston. And the kicker, Raheel's friend Rozmin joined us as a judge to pick a winner. I represented Montrose, which of course is the best. Raheel put on for the suburbs, and Carly made a strong case for those that live outside the loop. I believe we know who the winner is, though. It's Wednesday, October 22nd. I'm Brooke Lewis, and here's what Houston's talking about.
Hey, y'all. Good morning. We're doing it. We're deciding where's the best place to live in Houston, inside the loop or out in the suburbs, with a team debate. Now, I'll be making a case for the suburbs because you know I love the burbs. Producer Carlignon Jones is going to be repping the hidden gems in the middle, just outside the loop. Hey, Carly, how are you?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
And Hey Houston newsletter editor Brooke Lewis is repping inside the loop and her beloved Montrose. Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Doing well.
And I have a special guest, okay? Again, things are going to get heated, so we thought it would be great to bring in a judge, and our special guest is Rozmin Virani. She's a listener of the show as well. She is a friend of mine, so look, there is going to be some bias here. I get it, but she told me she's going to be very strict with her judging, and she's going to pick a winner of the best place to live in the greater Houston area. Rozmin, good morning. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be the judge of your debate.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here as well. Now, for our listeners, can you tell us about yourself and your relationship to the city of Houston?
Sure. Yeah. So I have actually never lived in Houston prior to a year ago. So I moved to Houston August of 2023. But interestingly, I've been in and out of Houston for years because my husband is from here. He actually grew up in the suburbs. He lived all around the city. And so I had been visiting him. I actually got married in Houston in 2020. And so I feel like I know the city really well, despite the fact that I've only officially been here for a year.
And you're actually deciding right now what part of the greater Houston area you're going to live in, right? In the
Yeah.
suburbs or in actual Houston, right?
That's exactly right. So despite being here for a year, I've lived in the suburbs and I've traveled out kind of the city. And now it's kind of down to decision time in terms of figuring out where we're going to end up. And so the timing of this couldn't be better.
This is perfect. So no pressure, Carly, no pressure, Brooke, but we are actually going to change somebody's life here today. And our listeners, of course, you can weigh in as well. Make sure you send us your thoughts about this episode on Instagram at CityCastHouston. So Rozmin, you're going to be picking the winner amongst the three of us. What is the best part of H-Town to live in? So let's get it going. Brooke, you'll go first. Tell us about your experience with the city growing up and make a case for your current area of Houston.
Okay, no pressure going first. So I am born and raised Houstonian, and I have also experienced the best of both worlds. I grew up in Katy, but I went to school in Spring Branch ISD because my mom was a teacher. She's retired now, but I got to go to school in Spring Branch for elementary, middle, and high school. I now currently live in Montrose area, so I'm always talking about Montrose. If you listen to the podcast, I'm always like bragging about Montrose. And it's just because it truly is one of the best parts of Houston. I have been living in the Loop since 2017, so for about 7 years or so. And I say living in Montrose is the best because you can find affordable housing. I know people don't believe it, but you can. And you're also close to some of the best restaurants. You're close to the museum district. You can go to Herman Park. You're also close to downtown. You also avoid traffic because with being in Montrose, you're kind of in the center of where everything else is. So if I'm going to anything else in the Loop, it only takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to get there. And I avoid the freeways I hate, which are I-10 and 610.
You're exactly right, Brooke. It seems like there are so many cool things in Montrose and just kind of within the Loop as well. So it's very tempting.
Hey, Brooke, so when you live in Montrose, do you have to sign a document where you have to tell everybody you live in Montrose when you end up living there? Is that something official or what?
You know, it's not official, but I just think the love, it's like, that's why people look happier, you guys. You know, it's the same thing with the Heights. I'm always like, why do people look so happy here? They're just like walking their dogs, they're walking around. It's because there's something about these areas where you're just happy. You live here and you're happy.
Thank you for that insight. Carly, let's learn about your experience with the city of Houston and where you currently live, because you're not inside the Loop and you're not outside the Beltway. You're in this really cool middle zone. Tell us more about that and what you love about it.
Okay, so I was born in Houston. We lived here in Alief until I was about like 7 years old, and then we moved about an hour away. But I was always in and out of the city because I have an aunt and some family members that live in different parts of Houston. So Houston has always been a part of the fabric of me. I moved back around 2020 after graduating college, and I'm still close to Alief. I'm more so in the West Chase district though now. And I love this area. I mean, it's the perfect balance of Houston is how I feel about it, honestly. You can kind of get to everything and do anything you want in the city without feeling overwhelmed with the highways and traffic and, you know, all the hustle and bustle of the actual city. So I love the balance that this area brings me.
Okay, so it's funny because we've thought a lot about suburbs versus in the Loop, but this idea of getting the best of both worlds, that's something that we actually haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about. So that's really interesting, Carly.
I love that. It's a good in between. And that's why we have your point of view here. And I can't wait to hear some of the benefits and also some of the cons about living in that area. So I'll get to mine real quickly and give you a background on my experience. So we grew up in Alief, then moved to Sugarland, spent a lot of years there. And then after getting married, my wife and I moved to the 610 and West Park area, right behind Houston Community College for about 2 years. And that's where I was like, I'm done with the city. I can't do this traffic. I can't do the bad roads. I can't do this lack of space. I need to get back to the suburbs where I have cows. I can drive in peace, no potholes. And look, there's no way around it. If you live in the suburbs, if you drive into the city, you're going to be stuck in traffic. So think of that 45 minutes as your time to find peace, to listen to CityCast Houston, okay? That's what you do with that time. So there's no way around it. You're going to have to drive to the city. So I'm going to get that out of the way right now. But I wouldn't trade the affordability, the space for anything. All right. So I love the suburbs. I'm never going to the city. I'm passionate about this. I can't wait to get this going. Rozmin, your initial thoughts?
Oh man, Raheel, you have given me this spiel so many times that I can't even count. Raheel has been selling me on the suburbs probably since before I even moved to Houston. And so I know exactly where he stands. And, to be fair, there are definitely compelling points. So I guess let's start off on traffic, because that really is like probably one of the most critical pieces when you're choosing where to live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we live in a world now where a lot of people work remotely. And if you are working remotely and you don't need to commute into the loop for, your office or your wherever you work, I think that really sort of changes the parameters by which you're like evaluating where you live, right? Whereas if you do need to make that 45-minute commute each way both days, like you're just realizing what a tax that is on your life. So right now I'm actually living in Sugar Land, but my son is in daycare in the Rice Village. So every morning I have to drop him off and I have that commute. The frustrating part is you don't know if it's going to be 25 minutes or you don't know if it's going to be an hour 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more like that lack of consistency. And I feel like every day, I don't know when I'm going to start my day because I'm so like beholden to the traffic gods of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that where you work is one thing. And then, Brooke, you were talking about Montrose, and I've spent a ton of time there. I love it. I think the restaurants are fantastic. Some of the best coffee shops in the city. It's so close to everything. But I just feel like when you have a kid, like things change. And I think the suburbs are just a little bit easier when you have a kid. You can go to a restaurant and people don't like look at you funny for bringing your kid. Like,
Yeah.
those things kind of
That's
matter when
true.
you have a toddler like I do.
Now, look, there's some great options in the city as well where you can go and you can eat with a toddler. They're not going to judge you. But
It's true.
going back to the point of traffic, let's talk about this one because this is the number one issue. I've been living in the suburbs since 2014. I've worked in the Galleria area. I've worked in downtown while living in the suburbs. And there's no way around it. Traffic sucks, okay? The good thing about living in the suburbs is on the way back, at least, when you get home, you've got your relaxing space. You've got area to yourself, okay? You're not getting ripped off with affordability. When we lived on 610 in West Park, I used to work in downtown. It used to take me 30 minutes to get to downtown. So 15 more minutes, I got more space. So might as well go ahead and make that sacrifice, all right?
You know who does live close to Rice Village where you could easily drop off your toddler? I do. But I do understand the, just how different it is when you have a child and the decisions that come with that. But I do live in a neighborhood. I live in a fourplex, so I'm surrounded by other homes, and I do see just so many kids in my neighborhood. I do feel like the inner loop sometimes gets that. How can you have kids here? How can you make a life? But I do see people making it work. The traffic part, like I said, I'm close to Rice Village, so you should just put that in.
But Brooke, you even said it. You have to drive 15 to 20 minutes to most places. Just add 15 more minutes on top of that. And now you got more space.
No,
it's
but you're
good.
adding, you could add an hour. Because like she said, it's so unpredictable. Like for me, I know that it really will take 15 to 20 minutes to get anywhere, to get downtown, to get to the Heights, to get to Bel Air, to get, it does only take that amount of time, even during peak traffic. Now, if there's a major accident, can't plan for that. But I do think if you just don't want to sit in your car, if you're just over Houston traffic, you really should think about living as close to the things that you are always going to.
Carly, how about you? Because you're in a different state. You're kind of in the middle. You can get to the suburbs and to the city in about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was about to say that I feel like Brooke and Raheel are both starting out at a disadvantage here because Raheel's over here talking about the 45-minute commute and trying to make it sound like it's all sweet and everything like that. Oh, just listen to some podcasts. Oh, it's going to be great. No, that sounds terrible. And then we have Brooke over here where, that's not a good place for children. She can make it sound like it is but I think I'm the perfect balance. I'm not too far from anything, but I'm also in a family-friendly area where you can take your kids without getting the funny looks. And there's like, every restaurant you go into, there's going to be families, kids, everything. There's that balance right here on the West Side. So
Okay.
come
I
over
like
here.
that.
As far as traffic goes, I'm like right by Westheimer. So I will say Westheimer can get packed, but I've never had the experience where I'm just like stuck the whole time. There's lights. So it's like constantly rolling no matter how many cars are on the road. So I love that part about it is that I don't really have to hop on the highways like too much. I can pretty much get anywhere by using that Westheimer road and just feeder side roads and things like that. So I really love that as well because as we all know, I'm not the best driver. So avoiding the highway is always the best thing for Carly to do.
How do you like those potholes, Carly?
Okay, look, Raheel. They're fixing them. They have construction going on to fix them. And I'm tired of the construction, but at least we're making some progress because the potholes are terrible.
Houston is working on herself, okay? This is her year. I'm working on me, and I'm working on those potholes and that construction. But look, that construction is making its way out to the suburbs as well because so many people are moving out here. There is non-stop construction. I mean, it is blowing my mind now to the point where I avoid big roads because there's just construction everywhere. So I can't, look, there's give and takes here, right? You're going to have to sacrifice. But the one thing I can say is I can drive down the road without hitting a pothole. I win on this one.
Okay.
I will say when I moved to Houston, we bought a car because we were in a new city. And my husband paid up for the wheel insurance and for the windshield insurance. And I thought, what a sucker. Who buys that stuff? But in 1 year, we've had 2 cracks on our windshield. And we've actually had to replace 2 tires one time. So it's already paid for itself in 1 year because of these potholes and because of just the amount of traffic in Houston.
There are so many incredible events happening in Houston right now, and one that I'm looking forward to is Human Shelter Day on November 1st in Midtown at Bagby Park. Human Shelter, spelled HUEMAN, is a community-driven public art initiative reframing perceptions of homelessness through immersive art and storytelling. Human Shelter was created with local artists and neighbors with lived experience and was supported by a $1 million grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies Public Art Challenge. This community art celebration is going to feature live art activations, short performances, hands-on creative stations, and information on how to connect with local outreach resources. So mark your calendars now for the Human Shelter Day on November 1st from 5 to 8 p.m. at Bagby Park in Midtown. RSVP at humanshelter.com in the events section. That's HUEMAN shelter.com.
Have you heard the Houston Cinema Arts Festival is back? Presenting organization Houston Cinema Arts Society is all about positioning Houston as a premier fine arts destination, championing untold and underrepresented stories both locally, regionally, and from around the world, all by connecting through cinema. The Houston Cinema Arts Festival is November 6th through the 16th at venues all around town, with this year's theme being Here, an exploration of what it means to be present, shaped by experience, and navigating the uncertainty of our time. Join cinephiles, movie lovers, filmmakers, and art champions at over 50 featured films, short film blocks, documentaries, film competitions, live music performances, a photography exhibition, an arts market, filmmaker workshops, and more that make up this year's Houston Cinema Arts Festival. Go to cinemahtx.org to find out more.
Find your fall vibes in Pearland with October events worth getting out of the house for. Pearland Restaurant Weeks runs through October 31st with 19 participating restaurants and curated meals benefiting the Pearland Neighborhood Center. Prepare for a ghostly good time at the Hops and History Cemetery Tour on October 18th and 24th. Partake in a hike through history from Valentin's Brewing Company to Pearland's oldest cemetery, led by special pathfinders from the past. Hear from early Pearland residents and enjoy a cold beverage back at the brewery. Gather your shopping buddies and join Pearland Boutiques on October 24th and 25th for the Pearland Boutique Shop and Hop. Enjoy drinks, snacks, and incredible shopping while exploring the city and completing your event passport. Find more details about all of Pearland's pumpkin spice fueled activities at visitpearland.com/events. That's visitpearland.com/events. All right, let's get to affordability because this is another huge topic of conversation when it comes to Houston versus the suburbs. Now, we love talking about how affordable Houston is compared to other big cities like New York and LA, but let's be real, it's not as cheap as it used to be. The median home price for the Houston metro area, which includes Sugar Land, the Woodlands, and Houston proper, reached almost $360,000 by the end of 2022, and that's according to the Federal Reserve. And I also have some numbers here on how much it costs to live in certain neighborhoods. And when we think about the suburbs, y'all, we always think about affordability, but that's not the case when it comes to areas like the Woodlands, right? Because the Woodlands is super expensive. In fact, the average home price in the Woodlands, $615,000. When it comes to Sugar Land, $497,000. So it's not that cheap anymore. But when you compare it to places like Bel Air, the average home price is over $1 million. And when it comes to West U, get ready for this number because if you aren't balling, you aren't living in Westview. $1.7 million is the average home price. So let's talk about affordability. Carly, kick it off.
Well, the area I'm in, I feel like it's affordable. But when I compared it to like my mom and my aunt, and when they lived in this area, it's not the same, of course. You know, I mean, inflation happens, time has passed. But my aunt, like when I told her how much I was paying in rent, she was like, what? Like she has a 2-story house with like 3 bedrooms in it, and she pays less than I do. And I have just an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. And she got her house about like 18 to 20 years ago. So, I mean, that just shows you like the big difference in price and affordability. For me, I'm a single person. I'm able to afford to live in this area. But for families, I mean, I still think it's affordable, honestly, compared to like the inner loop, you know, like where Brooke is, just saying. I still think it's a lot more affordable. And even like Rosenberg area, like there's a lot of nice big houses going up in that area. And I think it's starting to get really unaffordable over there too. So, I mean, when it comes to affordability, there's just, a lot of different factors you got to put into it.
Yeah, so many different factors. And Rozmin, y'all are actually going through this process right now of looking at the suburbs, Sugar Land area specifically, and versus the Houston area. So what have you found being a newcomer here?
Yeah, you know, what's really interesting is like when you look at the price of homes or even the price of rent for apartments, just to be inside the loop versus like 200 feet outside of the loop, there's such a difference in price. Because that's just the way like the real estate market is set up in Houston. Like there is a clear dichotomy between being in the loop and being outside of the loop. It doesn't matter how accessible things are outside of the loop. And then the other thing that I found really interesting that I think is unique to Houston is it's all about the floodplain. So if your home is in a 500-year floodplain, it's actually worth a lot more than the same home that's in the 100-year floodplain or that's in a direct flood zone. And what's even crazier about this is I don't think these zones have been reset since prior to Harvey. So you don't even know if they're actually accurate. But just by that classification of which flood zone it's in will determine, 20, 30, 40% discount or premium to like what the same house would be in a different flood zone.
Brooke, affordability. This is going to be your toughest battle, okay, in Montrose, all right? I don't know how you're going to do this one, but make a case for affordability in Montrose, please.
I feel like I already have targets on my back. Like, it's like you're already starting down before you even start. People have already shamed it. Here, I'm going to come out front and say, I know that it is expensive to live in Montrose. It is very expensive to live in the Loop. But if you're looking at what your life looks like. Like if you are looking at, okay, I really want to be close to where my kids' daycare is. I really want to be close to my kids' school or their activities. And I really want to be close to Herman Park, Museum District, downtown to these activities. Then you are saving money in gas, the wear and tear on your car, going back and forth. So I think when you do live in the loop, there is less driving and you are able to save more money and not just use all that money to car repairs because that's what happens.
Yeah.
But I can't lie to you and say, oh, you're going to find the most affordable home in Montrose. But if you're looking for a deal in Montrose, you can find it. But I
Yeah.
suggest finding a really good realtor and someone who's very experienced and well versed in this area because I've seen other friends do it and walk away with a good deal.
There's a lot of maybes there, Brooke, and a lot of, hey, you never know, right? And that is true for any market. And again, it's all based on what you want. And again, the prices will vary all over. It is expensive. It seems like across the board in the greater Houston area. So there is that. Let's talk about schools because this one is going to be a little bit harder, right? With schools, there's A-rated schools in the city. There are F-rated schools in the suburbs, right? Like it happens. There's going to be bad schools and good schools wherever you go. But for me, when we made the decision, we looked at Fort Bend ISD. That's where I went to school growing up. And we looked at some of the neighborhoods, how expensive it is to be in a B or A-rated school. And it just was easier for us to pull the trigger on going to the suburbs because of these schools and their ratings. But again, it is based on what you want. So with schools, Carly, this one's going to be tough for you because you don't have kids. Brooke, you as well. But I would love to get some of y'all's thoughts on this, if you have any, when it comes to schools. And the final thought here is, do you want to go to HISD and deal with Mike Miles? Come on, Brooke, tell me. I'm just joking.
Oh, man. So I am going to take a little hard left and maybe give some points to Carly, even though it kills me to give her any points to make a case for her. But I will shout out Spring Branch ISD. That is not in the loop. It is more closer to the west side of Houston. And I grew up going to that school district. It is a great district. They have in recent years gone through, some tough times. They went through a $35 million budget deficit in the last school year where they had to close some beloved schools that I always grew up hearing about, Northbrook High School, Treasure Forest. And they also were almost about to cut their gifted and talented program. But this is where I love Spring Branch because they have very involved parents and students, even former students, where they were actually able to raise enough money. I'm talking thousands of dollars to help save this program. And donations came in from over 400 families, along with former students
Wow.
and formal Spiral parents and business donors. So what I love about Spring Branch is that you really can find good quality education in the city through Spring Branch ISD. I'm a proud product of it, and my mom was a teacher in it. So that's one little point I will give to Carly, even though I hate to give it away.
I want to bring up something here from our executive producer, Laura Isensee. She is firmly planted inside the loop these days, having lived in Montrose and now the Heights. She loves the hometown feel, fantastic restaurants, hike and bike trail with downtown just 10 minutes away. And as for the schools, there are many highly rated public and private schools inside the loop. You just might have to do a little bit more research and be more strategic when it comes to that choice. And again, that's the thing with schools. Like, it is hard to argue it because there are pros and cons for everything. And it just depends on what you want as a family, as a listener, as a person.
What I will say about schools is that even though I did not do my whole educational system down here, I started with like daycare here and I absolutely loved it. Like, those are some of my fondest memories because they used to bring all types of animals to the daycare and everything. It was called Kidstown Academy. So that was just like a really great experience for me because we got to learn and do so much there. Then I went to like kindergarten here, and I remember loving that school as well. It was over there kind of by Funplex. I don't know the name of it, but that was a really good experience for me. And then when I moved back to Houston, I did work at a school down here for a few months. It was KIPP Academy. And honestly, when I was in that school system, I will say that those were some of the most respectful children I've ever met in my entire life. So I will say that those programs are still really great and they're close by. And those children were in those schools from like the point when they were young all the way up into high school. So they were just really well trained, and it was really so impressive to me. So I will say that about the school system in this side of town. So yeah.
Yeah, you do have public, you have private, you have charter schools as well across the greater Houston area. Rozmin, what are your thoughts on schools? Like, how important is it for y'all?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty important. So my husband grew up in Sugar Land and was part of the Fort Bend ISD system, and then went to a magnet school called Hightower. And I would say he enjoyed his high school experience. And we also want to make sure that our son, who's only 2, so we have lots of time, sort of has that same experience.
Well, let's talk about spending money. Entertainment, lifestyle, restaurants. Carly, kick it off.
Okay, I think that the in-between of Houston is the best place to be for entertainment. I mean, there's literally everything you can think of, either 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at the max away from this area. I live like maybe 15 minutes from the Galleria. I'm close to grocery stores, restaurants, department stores. I remember earlier in the year, my car actually like broke down out of nowhere, and I was able to walk everywhere I needed to go just because I'm so close to like literally everything. So I really love that aspect of it. You can get to Harwin in a few minutes. And I just also love that this area is so culturally amazing. Like you can experience so many different cultures and meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds that I think that it's amazing. We have so much amazing food here as well. Like I really just feel like this part of Houston is the melting pot and the part of Houston that really makes Houston, Houston. You know, I just, that's my thing.
The reasons you're highlighting, Carly, are the reasons why I wanted to move to Houston, right? It's because like you go to a Costco and like there's no majority and minority. Like it's like every car is like a different race, a different it's like people from all walks of life. You'll see a Range Rover and you'll see a Toyota, and it's like that's what I love about Houston, right? And like the food is fantastic. Like the hole in the wall restaurants are just as good as the Michelin star restaurants, and so like it's just this beautiful melting pot that you're describing. And it's nice that in your area, like you've been able to encapsulate all of that. I think that's really tough to do, and that's such a huge selling point. And Carly, you also highlighted this point that we haven't talked about, which is walkability, right? So like for transplants that are coming from big cities like I am, like that's huge, right? Because I don't want to drive everywhere. I'm used to walking to get my groceries. I'm used to walking my kid to school. And so I think it's tough to find that. It's tough to find pockets of that in Houston.
You're not going to find that in the suburbs. You can walk to the mailbox. You can play in the streets. You'll be fine. But yeah, you're going to have to drive to the park. You're going to have to drive to HEB. You're going to have to do all that. But everything y'all just said, that's what makes Houston great. It's beautiful. And for me in the suburbs, after 7 p.m., it's only 30 minutes away. So I get the same thing y'all get, and I can be there in 30 minutes as well. Do I need to go watch a show at Miller? Yes, I do. And guess what? It's 30 minutes away after 7 p.m. We have great restaurants in the suburbs, too. Let's not act like people aren't moving out here and opening up great restaurants as well.
Raheel keeps stretching this 30-minute point. Don't listen to him, you guys. Don't listen to him. He's leading us astray.
After 7 p.m. And you might have to pay $5 on the West Park. Okay, there's that too.
So you know who can walk to HEB? I can. And who does walk to HEB? I do walk to HEB in Montrose. So there is that selling point. And I will say it has the best of both worlds. You can go to the fanciest, schmanciest restaurant, pay a big buck. You can get some discounts during Houston Restaurant Weeks. Or you can go to, Discovery Green, where they have free festivals. They have free exercise classes. You can play with your kid at the park. And there's also other smaller parks like Levy Park that's nearby that also has free entertainment throughout the week, and also Herman Park. So I think you get the expensive restaurants, but you also get just the access to some more affordable things that you don't have to really drive that far to get to. So it really is the best of both worlds. Like, I live so close to the Manila collection, which is free. And I was literally thinking the other day, like, I just had a free day. I just walked to the Manila, went in there, looked at like, some of the best art in the world, and then walked out, and it was completely free.
Okay, I can't win that argument. It is nice just being able to like pull up anywhere and go check out a museum. But I had a free day on a Friday, and guess what I did? I drove to the Contemporary Arts Museum, Houston, and I walked right in, Carly and Brooke. Okay, so let's 30
but
minutes.
You paid gas. You use your gas. Gas.
It's all right. Guess what? Gas. It's okay. It's a part of life. It's supporting the Houston economy. It's our lifeblood here. Okay, I did that as well.
I know I'm supposed to be impartial, but I will say on the point on museums, you're right, Brooke. There are fantastic museums kind of in the museum district and in downtown Houston. But they're all opening up branches in the burbs.
See, everyone's coming out to the burbs, including your beloved museums, Brooke. It's time you make the move.
If my life changes, then you might get me to the suburbs. But right now, I just love my life in Montrose.
All right, y'all, final thoughts here. If you could pick just one thing about where you live and why everyone should experience it, what would you say it is?
I think it's the accessibility. It's just you are really close to a lot of amazing things in Houston, whether it's restaurants, whether it's museums, whether it's our parks. You're just close. And if you want that lifestyle, then this is the place to live. It's more expensive, but I think it's just thinking about where you want to spend your money. And I think I want to spend my money in Montrose.
Carly, how about you?
I have to go with the culture and the accessibility because it's both. I mean, it's a great combination of everything. You get to see everything, be by everything. I'm by hospitals, parks, your grocery store. So I think that aspect is definitely what puts my area at the top, okay? The top.
The top spot. For me, it's affordability. I've been hitting on this. It is expensive everywhere you go. But again, just to me, it's about affordability in owning a home with more space. And I value that. All right, it is time, Rozmin. You heard the argument. You heard us take shots at each other. It is time for you to pick who is the winner. Our interlooper, Brooke. Our middle person, Carly, or is it the suburbs? What are you taking in this great debate for the greater Houston area?
I think I need a drum roll, guys. I thought you guys all made fantastic arguments, but I think I have to go with the inner loop. And I hope we can still stay friends after this, Raheel and Carly. But I think for me, it's the time and the accessibility. And that kind of trumps everything, because time is the one thing you can't get back. So that's what I'm going to go with.
And you're going to be spending a lot of time driving to visit us on the weekends. Great job. There you go.
But you know who she'll be with? She'll be walking with me to Manila Collection. So we can just have a great time.
I'll meet y'all there too in about 30 minutes. Y'all, that was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us, Rozmin, Carly, Brooke.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
That was Rozmin Virani, along with Brooke Lewis and Carlignon Jones. As we near the end of our final week of shows, we'd love to hear from you on how CityCast Houston helped you live your best life in H-Town. Email us your thoughts at houston@citycast.fm. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and shout out to the burbs.
Am I going too long on the...
No. Go.
I was about to say that we do need to break it up, though.
Okay. I had a whole PowerPoint presentation. That's what I was about to say. No.
You can send that to me later, Brooke. I'll take you up on it.